Alright, well, welcome to Thailand. First of all, I'm DJ PANI and I'm from at 107 FM. Is this your first time in Thailand?
Very first time. It is.
Very first time?
Yeah.
So, what's your impression of Thailand so far?
It's amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful place. I wanted to come here years and years ago just for a vacation. I had planned to go to Koh Samui and did a little research, and we were going to start in Bangkok, but it just timing wasn't right. We ended up not coming, so I'm glad that we finally were able to come back, and it's great to do it as a band, thinking that we could still go new places and
Yeah.
you know.
This is your 8th album.
Yeah.
What are the differences between your previous albums and this one?
I mean, I think it's kind of subtle over time. It's not like this is the album that we made. It's a jazz album or something like that. You know, we're not very distinct. Each album isn't very distinct that way. But I think that if you listen from the very first album into this album in order, I think you can hear the kind of evolution of us as, you know, not only as musicians, as we're learning our instruments and figuring things out and trying things in the studio or getting access to better equipment along the way. And you know, we start to play around a little bit more with arrangements and song structures. I would say that this album is sort of heavily influenced by a lot of guitar playing. Compared to Codes and Keys, the album before, where I know that Ben, when he was writing demos, was kind of inspired by a lot of piano and keyboards. So I think if this record, if Kintsugi would sort of stand out in recent memory, as I'd say it's a little bit more like our earlier work in the sense that it's a little more guitar based than it is pianos and keys. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
That's cool, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's been such a long time since you're in this business. I mean, what are the things that you would actually advise to like the newbies, like the new bands or upcoming? I mean, you must have learned so many things through all these years.
We have, and you know, it's hard to sort of, for me, it's hard to give sort of really solid advice, because I think there's a lot of things that bands have to deal with immediately when they're new that we never had to. I mean, I think, you know, if the three of us decided to form a band right now, like the next conversation after what's our name going to be? Yeah, it's okay, but like our next conversation would be like, we have to go get all of our social media names locked down, and we have to get our Facebook page set up, and we have to do all of these things that like we never had to do in the very beginning, and they're very important as part of marketing and spreading the name of your band. So if there's one thing that's though like remained constant from the minute we got together to now 18 years later, it's playing shows.
Yeah.
And if there's one piece of advice I would give any band that's starting is, you know, whatever you can do and however you can do it, there's no substitution for standing in front of a crowd and playing, even if it's 2 people.
Yeah.
There's no substitution for getting on a stage and playing your music and getting used to that feedback that happens when you're playing notes and people are reacting to the music that you're making. And you know, all the technology goes away, you're looking someone right in the face and you can tell immediately if they're enjoying themselves or if they're not. And that's a real honest thing that there's no other substitution for, that I think that you just have to figure out if you can do it or not, and you can get better at it. And it's something that I would say, as soon as you possibly can, start playing shows.
More than anything, it informs you if you as a band, as a unit, as a chemistry of people can withstand the business. I mean, if you can weather it and communicate and make it last from show to show, it doesn't matter. You could put, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of the greatest musicians in a room together and they would make great music, but whether or not they can deal with all the politics and the industry in general and the travel and everything that goes with the things all around the show, then that will determine whether or not you're going to be able to last.
Being artists, the chemistry that you're talking about with your fans, do you feel like there's a difference between like, say, back home in America or like compared to like Asia?
I don't know. That's interesting. Like I think, I mean, you know, we don't sing in any other language other than English. So, you know, how things sort of translate into other languages is always interesting around the world. I think one of the things about our band that people in the States really react to, and I feel like it's kind of a thing that's a strong point of our band, is the lyrics and the words and the imagery in our songs. But you know, in everywhere that we've been, I've always been just blown away that people, I feel like they still connect in the same real ways. It does seem to really kind of reinforce the idea that, you know, music, you know, connects people around the world, you know. And I'm always I always am very like, you know, it just feels that you can feel that magic when, you know, we might not have a lot of things in common in terms of our life, but we're sharing this musical moment together that is very real and honest, and that remains untouched for me no matter where we've been. I mean, I think music really does get past a lot of the things about humanity that makes everybody you know, different, and really kind of starts to have something in common. You know, it's nice. I like that.
Yeah, this is why music is so amazing.
It is.
Right?
It's so true. It is. Yeah.
Who were the artists that influenced you as a, you know, as musicians, as artists? Is there? I mean, we know you're a huge fan of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Are there
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
bands that you?
I mean, I think like, you know, you kind of grow up listening to your parents' music,
Yeah.
and then at a certain point you go like, I don't like what you like, and I'm gonna like my own music, and you're gonna, you know, and you pick things and you kind of figure out. I think one of those early bands for me that was like important, not only just as songs, but kind of visually and everything, was The Cure. I love and that was early on, and then, you know, I was kind of into a lot of the new wave kind of punk stuff for a while, and then, you know, in the 90s we had the Seattle music explosion, and that was huge for us.
Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Mudhoney. I mean, there's a lot of bands in the Northwest.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing about the Northwest bands is that they were, you know, becoming popular at a time when they were still accessible to us. So, you know, in college you could have a surprise visit from Nirvana, you know, show up in your gym and play a show. And being that we were all there in the Pacific Northwest, it also made it seem possible. Like, we could do this. You're like, I guess if you have a group of people you enjoy making music with, then why not go for it? And so there was a really supportive community in the Pacific Northwest. And so all those bands, I think, hold a special place in our heart, because I think that they were also responsible for allowing us to really, you know, make a go for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. Yeah, thank you. That's so fast.
All right,
yeah.
nice to meet. I
Super
know
nice
it's
to meet you.
so
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.